Now, since you've clicked on this video, I would imagine that you're familiar with today's topic, but for those of you who aren't, in 2005 Nickelodeon began airing a new show, a show that would go on to be their most critically acclaimed ever, and it's still yet to be topped. Which is impressive to be sure, especially considering Nickelodeon's legendary catalogue, including classics such as SpongeBob SquarePants, Fairly Odd Parents, Ren and Stimpy, Rugrats, and the list goes on. Impressive indeed, but not only was it one of the best Nickelodeon shows ever made, a strong argument could be made for it being one of the best TV shows ever made, period. This being Avatar: The Last Airbender. Whenever anyone's stuck for something to watch, this is always one of my first recommendations. Regardless of your age, regardless of your taste, this is a must-watch. I would go as far to say as it's perfect, or at least as close to perfect as I've ever witnessed. I'm a weirdo with very few friends, so I've seen a lot of television. Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Game of Thrones, seasons 1 to 4 at least, Chernobyl, I've seen it all. Nothing quite comes close to this, in my opinion. But how can I say that? How can I make such a claim of an animated show for kids from almost 2 decades ago? Well, like I said, it is as close to perfect as I've yet witnessed. It has it all, and it handles it masterfully. It perfectly balances both humour and dark themes. The writing is outstanding and will reward watchers of any age who pay attention. The music is fantastic and at times could make a grown man cry. Leaves from the Vine, I'm looking at you. You have no reason punching me in the heart like that, but here we are.
Leaves from the vine.
The animation is meticulous and still holds its own today with contemporary animated shows. It was such a pleasure going back and rewatching this again. Characters, good or evil, are compelling to watch. Their motives are explained and are understandable. Antagonists aren't simply written off as just maniacal. That's way too easy to just say, oh, they're crazy, that's what makes them bad. They're relatable characters, based within reality. They define good and evil, sure, but they allow the audience to empathise with the villains and understand them. Protagonists aren't just overpowered and perfect. They're flawed, and they have to learn and adapt from their mistakes and flaws. They have to train. They aren't Super Saiyan straight off the rip. And this makes characters more endearing and relatable as they appeal to the human within us. There are no girl bosses, no Mary Sues, no incompetent characters placed there purely to make other characters look better. This quote-unquote kid show is more sophisticated when handling characters and themes than most entertainment made for mature audiences. Today's Hollywood writing staff could learn a thing or two from this show. The character arcs are so well thought out and executed. The characters evolve naturally as the show progresses through experiences and they adapt to them in humane, believable ways. Name a better character arc than Iroh and Zuko. Any film, any TV show, anything. Name a better character arc. You can try. Oh, you can try. The structure of the show is great. There's little, if any, filler. Like, okay, sure, there are a couple of arcs that, like, conclude within their own episodes and don't necessarily contribute to the overall plot, but even within those episodes, the characters evolve, and it gives you context for why they'd act a certain way further in the show. So I'm going to go ahead and say there's absolutely zero filler in this show whatsoever. I like also how the seasons are broken down into elements, just simple things like that. The show handles representation and social political themes such as disability and sexism, and it's still a joy to watch. And that's because it's done not out of spite or for the sake of it, or to just to try and please X person, or for X writer to be able to spew their views about whatever. It's done out of a care for people and and their differences and the want to write a compelling story that anyone could be a part of. And where a lot of shows like Game of Thrones fell short, Avatar didn't. Avatar stuck the landing. The story is compelling throughout all 3 seasons, and the ending is so satisfying. And it ties it up perfectly. And last but not least, the people who worked on this show, from the voice actors to the animators, they all cared about this show and cared about delivering you a story worth your time, and it showed. You can have the biggest budget in the world, but entertainment is the only arena where money can't talk quite so loud, and it's easily drowned out by a simple little thing called passion. This won't have been a cheap venture at all, that's not what I'm saying, but it will far outlive other projects boasting a far greater budget with far more resources. So, if like me, you're feeling a little bit jaded because of the state of current entertainment, do yourself a favour and go watch this show. If you've never seen it before, like I say, regardless of your age, regardless of your taste, check this out. You will not be disappointed, I promise you. The show is perfect. and its legacy will never be tainted. Oh, what's that smell? Oh, it smells like shit. What the? Oh no. That's right, in 2010 a director named M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong swooped in like a sadomasochistic seagull to come and poop over everyone's childhood. Now, let's be real about M. Night Shyamalan. He can direct a movie. He directed one good movie and the rest are stinkers. And this one takes the cake. Well, M, who was born in India, was no slumdog, but maybe a little bit of a millionaire as he enjoyed a rather lavish upbringing in the very posh suburban neighborhood of Penn Valley in Philadelphia. In West Philadelphia, born and raised, on the playground was bullied because M was my name. Well, I would imagine M stands for something. Michael, I would assume, because while he's not busy looking like an Indian Michael Jackson, he enjoys his time ruining people's childhoods, mine included. So when 13-year-old me found out that the greatest show of my childhood was getting a live-action adaptation, it's fair to say whatever minuscule example of a penis I had back then was standing at attention, and there was no way I was going to miss this film. I wish I had, though. I really wish I had. And it would appear I'm not the only one, because recently when M. Night Shyamalan was asked about the questionable release which was his adaptation of The Last Airbender, he basically said, yeah, I regret making it. My bad. But it didn't have to be like this. So what happened? Why did one of the greatest TV shows receive one of the worst adaptations? And what makes it the worst adaptation? Well, unfortunately, that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. So strap in, or strap on, as we take a little look at the live action The Last Airbender. Yip yip!
Great respect was afforded to all those who could bend their natural element. The Avatar was...
Why did they say Avatar like that?
The Avatar was...
Avatar. Sounds like Stephen Hawking's trying to shout at me through a piece of toilet paper. Look, I don't know whose idea it was to make all of the main characters sound like Jens Stoltenberg.
Nathan.
But if you are a fan of Avatar, get used to them mispronouncing key names and words, because it's going to happen a lot.
Stop doing that stuff around me. I always get wet.
Huh? That ain't Saka. Oh wait, no, it's not Saka, because in this show they decided to call him Soka.
That makes me want to soak my nuts in a bowl of acid. No, but for real. In my opinion, this is one of the biggest flaws of this movie. And it's something we see all the time these days. And this is someone who takes an original, like, story, film, movie, whatever. They're doing an adaptation and they just have this blatant disregard for those canon characters. It's either a misunderstanding or they just don't care, or both. But they end up, like, transplanting beloved characters with whatever they want. Also, this has to be one of the first reverse race swaps I've ever seen. Now, in the show, they have darker skin. I would imagine it's because, you know, their tribe is heavily influenced by Inuit culture, and Inuits typically have darker complexions. They just straight up made him a couple of white dudes. Why? Hey, talking to Slumdog Millionaire, here he is.
I am Prince Zuko.
And it's Zuko. Zuko's Indian now. Why is he Indian? To be honest though, fresh off the success of Slumdog Millionaire, I think a lot of people at the time were quite happy that this guy was going to be Zuko. I mean, obviously, he might not quite look like Zuko, and I think they could have done a better job of his scar and his hair. They just gave him a very normal haircut. I think, you know, he has hair similar to, like, season 2 onwards, but they didn't give him the ponytail. Not too sure why. Like, it's quite a distinctive look. I think he just struggled when it came to, like, the material he's given. It doesn't matter how good an actor is. If you're given something like this, I mean, what can you do? Well, the movie starts out exactly how the show does, and when Zuko finally gets his hands on the Avatar, he makes sure to test Aang and his ability to bend every element.
If you don't come, I'll burn down this village.
Well, alrighty then.
I knew from the first time we discovered you were a bender.
Don't be childish.
My name is Iro.
It's Iroh, not Iro. Also, if I remember rightly, my local cinema was showing 3D showings of this movie when it was released. So if, for whatever reason, you wanted to go back and watch this in 3D, if that even is still a thing, don't. Might I recommend that you just instead stick your head up your nearest friend's asshole? One, you'll have more fun, and two, the 3D shit will look much more realistic.
Is it okay if you tell me your name?
The monks named me Ang.
His name is not Ong, it's Ang. It literally has 2 A's in it. How did you miss both of them? The storytelling has been completely butchered. The meaning behind important scenes is completely lost. Important pieces of information and context from the show aren't present in the film. So characters' motivations are all over the place or just non-existent. For example, the whole purpose of season 1 of the show is to find a waterbending master so that Aang can learn waterbending. But for half the movie, they're just winging it. They're on a gap year, just trying to find themselves until they're told what to do. Instead, they go to the Southern Air Temple, and this is another example of how the film fumbled its execution. In the TV show, whilst they're travelling to and through the temple, Kitara is continually trying to explain to Aang that something bad could have happened to the monks, within the last 100 years. It's been a long time.
Well, I just want you to be prepared for what you might see. The Fire Nation is ruthless.
And then that's also intercut with Aang's flashbacks with Monk Gyatso. So by the time we see a skeleton, we understand the weight of Aang's loss. In the movie, they don't bother with this at all. And he's just a random dead guy, no explanation whatsoever. We've just got to go off Aang's reaction, which at that point we don't understand because we've been given no context. And I don't remember hearing anyone mention this, but I don't know why they changed the markings on him. Like, the blue arrows were just fine. And then they've turned it into this, like, prison tattoo / henna kind of design. Why? I just don't know why. That, like, you oversimplified everything, and that's the one thing you decide to complicate? Like, I don't get it. Another little thing is, I hate Aang's, this like, slapped arse face he walks around with for almost the entire film. He's supposed to be the Avatar, not a stroke victim. And the scene where he reveals that he's the Avatar is so lame.
If the Avatar had returned, would that mean anything to you?
The Avatar is dead. If he was here, he would protect us.
My name is Ang. And I'm the Avatar.
It's a mixture of jaunty dialogue and weird choreography. The critical thinker within me just passed away, and I was left sat there thinking, what the shit did I just watch? The Earthbenders are lame as shit too. They just look like a bunch of clowns from Camp Rock 2. Earthbenders, Camp Rock. See what I did there? Okay. There's 2 guys, they don't even need to bother bending, just go beat them up. And it's so cringy, watching a 13-year-old girl trying to tell a bunch of grown-ass adults to get off their asses and do something.
Don't be afraid!
Now, at many times during this film, you might be fooled into thinking you're watching slow motion. That's not the case. The choreography is just so weird. Any kind of action or bending is just really slow. And it just kills any momentum that an action scene would need. And man, the editing is such dog shit. Just have a look how they cut these 2 conversations together. It's so weirdly jarring.
I do too. I mean, I still do.
A lot of the villages in this part of the Earth Kingdom are occupied by the Fire Nation.
I need to tell you something.
I could put in a whiplash claim for watching this movie. What the Mary J. Blige just happened? And why are we all up in Aang's face like that? Dude, just back the camera off a few feet. Get out of his face, man.
Bagel tear? Put it reverse, tear?
Okay, and I mean no offense, but okay, maybe I mean a little bit of offense. The music production is, I'm trying to think of a negative adjective I've not used yet. Stinky poo-poo? Yeah, that'll do. It sounds like when a 12-year-old discovers that GarageBand has a loop section and rather than actually writing and performing stuff, they just drag and drop a load of pre-recorded loops into the arrange window. It's what I call a Duplo mix, not Diplo. That guy can actually somewhat put a song together. Duplo, like, the supersized Lego for the extra special kids who found normal Lego to be a bit difficult or a bit too tasty. Someone then very kindly comes in and tells Zhao just how garbage this movie is.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Unlucky, mate. And what's up with the Fire Nation? Looks more like Bedfordshire to me. Then Aang, being spineless and weak, decides to run away because that's definitely something his character would do. But don't worry, because Katara and Sokka are going to do everything they physically can to stop him.
Yip, yip. I guess your talk didn't work. Fire Nation is following us. If we make a wrong move, they'll catch him.
Wait, no, don't go. Should we stop him or no? Okay.
Are you?
My name is Ang.
No, no, it's not. Then this weird old guy breaks up with Aang.
You seem like a nice young man. You really do.
It's just not working between us anymore. Turns out it must have been a pretty toxic relationship because then he pulls a knife on the Avatar. He knows he's the Avatar and he pulls a butter knife on him.
Close the inner gate! The Avatar has escaped!
Close the gate! The Avatar has escaped! Okay, look, I know they had a lot to cover, but they wasted way too much time on pointlessly long action scenes and fluffed up dialogue. Time they could have spent storytelling instead. The whole Northern Water tribe arc travels at Mach 10. We don't get any of the story arcs within the Northern Water tribe, which mainly help to bolster Sokka as a character. And we don't get to know the princess at all, so her story doesn't hold any emotional weight anymore.
I've loved spending these weeks with you, Sokka.
This is the first time we've seen him speak on screen, and it's already weeks later. This is so lazy. How do we tell the audience that lots of time has passed without telling them lots of time has passed? Tell them lots of time has passed. Oh, that's good. I didn't think about that. The only reason this movie makes so much sense is because I've seen the show and I'm filling in all the holes that they've left out with information I've got from the show. If you've not seen the show and you watch this movie, you've got no hope. Right, you watch this scene and you tell me this isn't a porn parody. It was at this moment in the film I started watching at 1.5 times speed. I know if I'm going to make a video about this, I have to stick the film out, I have to watch all of it. But believe me, not a single part of me wanted to continue watching this. It was for the memes, and the memes only. Okay, one thing I do have to say is like Princess Yue and Aang are possibly the only characters that even somewhat resemble their original cartoon counterparts. That might sound like a compliment, but it should be just two characters. That's it. The whole movie, two look somewhat like their characters. They legitimately spent more time on this waterbending scene than they did establishing Sokka and Yue's relationship. It's still going. How is this still going? Aang then goes to meditate, and it's this point in the show when he meets the Face Stealer, one of my favourite scenes from the whole show altogether.
Thank you.
My old friend, the Avatar. It's been a long time.
God knows how it didn't scar me as a child, but it's not in the movie. They just didn't put that character in. Because, I don't know. F in the chat, boys, for the Face Stealer. They used this kind of approach when they did things like Mulan, the live-action Mulan. These writers seem to come to the conclusion, for whatever reason, they think that if they take out everything that people like about the original and everything that makes the original fun, they think if they take all of that out, they'll end up making something better. I swear, filmmakers and writers these days are just a bunch of delusional, self-centered, fun-hating, fan-hating crematorium assistants. And I call them crematorium assistants because their only job is to take something you love and throw it in a great big fire. Now, you might think, of course this movie failed. It had such big expectations to live up to. It was doomed. It was always going to fail. That is not the case. This didn't even try. This is a truly bizarre movie because, like I said earlier, the TV show did everything and did it perfectly. This movie messed up just about every single thing it could have done. The characters don't talk, act, or look right. The writing was utter garbage. The editing was abysmal. They used editing techniques I wouldn't even use on a YouTube video, let alone a blockbuster movie. There's no reason behind any of the characters doing anything. There's no humour in it whatsoever. The CGI, oh my god, the CGI. Some of the CGI looks like it was made on MS Paint by a blind man who I can only assume has never used MS Paint. And ultimately, it had no soul whatsoever. I would have loved to have been there to witness the people who worked on the original TV show, who animated and voice acted that. I would have loved to have seen their reaction when they went to see this movie, if they if they even showed up. And hey, look, there's a couple of shots here and there that look okay. I think the Fire Nation ships look pretty good. Apart from that, nothing. This movie has zero redeeming qualities. Now, up until this point, I've been staying away from reviews of this film, particularly, you know, critic scores. So that's what we're going to take a look at now. And ooh, a 5% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's you know, that's even worse than I thought it would be. And a 4 on IMDb. That's actually a bit better than I think it would be. How the hell did it get a 4? To conclude, both the TV show and the live-action movie adaptation were both perfect storms. Whereas one, everything came together perfectly to create this, just this wonder of entertainment. The other one, the complete opposite, where one caught lightning in the jar, the other just caught a stinky fart. But that's just my opinion. What do you think? Maybe there's someone out there that actually enjoyed the live action adaptation. And if you did, please, I am begging you, please let me know down in the comments why you think this movie was good. I need a good laugh after spending nearly 2 hours watching this film again. Now, I understand there's a lot I missed, there's a lot I didn't cover, but I slowly started to realise if I pick up on every single little problem this film has, I'm going to be here forever. I'm going to make Mauler's videos look short. So here we go. Like, the ending was just whatever. It wasn't really an ending, because obviously this just covered season 1. So it was obviously just queuing up the possibility of, you know, 2 more sequels. And thank God that didn't happen. Am I right? Oh no. Is it going to happen again? And as always, a big shout out to my top tier members, Pozabon, Flunky, Jax, and Brennis. You gorgeous bastards. Tier 2 members, Steve the Goat, Dr. Melsky, Saeed, MG, Virgil, Kuno, Sako, Mark, Maiden, Sensei, Fang, Hadziu, and we're welcoming Michael Turpia to the Tier 2. Welcome to the squad, you absolute legends. And of course, a big thank you to the Tier 1 members and the channel members as well. Thank you so much for your support. You've all stuck with me once again. Thank you. It really does make my life a lot easier behind the scenes. Once again, another day, another video. Will you join me for the next one? You better do, you bitch. And I'll see you then. But in the meantime, make sure you take care of yourselves, guys. And I'll see you real soon.